Hub family, what's going on? Welcome to another special edition of the Hub, All Things for Us with your boy Demond Reynolds. And listen, I am so excited for this episode, but I thought maybe we should kick things off in a creative way. So let me try. Before they watered it down and taught us bogus lessons written in stone, write whatever in your history books. Well, family, that comes from one of my favorite MCs, Nas. And the song that references in is Nas is Good. And I love this song. I've been listening to it and replaying it back because that particular bar from Nas alludes to the fact that throughout history, there's always been some sort of deception when it comes to learning about the empowerment of people of African descent. And that's just where I'm at, family. Apparently, I'm in a place that's considered the OG or the originator of the transatlantic slave trade. If you haven't guessed it by now, if you're smart enough, if you've looked it up, if you've read, it's Portugal. Yes, family, I'm in Portugal, and I'm so excited because I want you all to come along and tag along with me as I'm learning and as I'm growing. I want you to be right in this moment with me because I went on a African walking tour, and on this tour, I was able to learn about the African presence throughout Portugal's history, but also the presence of Black people here today. And family, this was something that was for the books, something that I want you all to be a part of. And so family, please have some grace on me for this episode because I want you in these moments as things are happening. It might not be like a long drawn out piece, but family, it can be very informative. So go ahead and lean in, get your popcorn ready, be excited, and go ahead and check this next episode out. See y'all soon. Welcome to Portugal, a beautiful city indeed, but a place that leaves you wrestling with its history.
The statue of African people are not here. It's maybe 2 statues. Yeah, but these are not like, it's not a glorification of African people. Yeah, one of them is the statue to African workers. Yeah, and the second one is the one we're gonna see a little bit later. That's it. Yeah, all the rest are glorifying Portuguese heroes.
Meet Naky, the man from Togo in Africa, who shares about the hidden African history in Portugal. We begin with a deep look into the Catholic Church.
In the 15th century, that also marked the beginning of Portuguese expeditions. The Catholic Church is going to create a doctrine that was called the doctrine, that's still called the doctrine of the discovery. In this doctrine, there were different papal bulls that were written by different bishops of the Catholic Church. These bulls are different ways actually to support colonization. Okay? Why did the Catholic Church have to write this? Because Portugal, as a Catholic kingdom, can be used actually to expand Christianity more in new places. That's what they call it, the doctrine of the discovery.
This walking tour takes us to different markers, attempting to capture 600 years of history in just 4 hours. Listen as he even shares a document from Pope Nicholas V, former head of the Catholic Church.
So we're just going to have to read an excerpt of the second one written by Nicholas V. Yeah, so the Romanus Pontifex is this one, yeah, 1455. Okay, well, so here on this page, this is what Nicholas wrote. He said, "We, weighing all and singular the premises with due meditation, and noting that since we have formerly by other letters of ours granted, among other things, the kingdoms, chiefdoms, counties, principalities, dominions, possessions, and goods, and to convert them to his and their use and profits." Yeah? So we wrote letters already that were sent to you, and we give you free and ample faculty to invade people, to capture people, to vanquish people who are enemies of the church. Saracens, Muslims, and those African who continue practicing the African spirituality and called by the church pagans, and then reduce them into perpetual slavery. And now all the lands, all the possessions, all the fields, everything can be also taken away from them. So this is the terms used by the church through the bishop, Nicholas V. Yeah? So how would be the reaction? How would be actually the position of Alfonso, King of Portugal? Knowing that a Catholic Church back in the day, if you are king or queen, that means that you are Catholic. Yeah? You cannot be a king or queen in this place, in this part of the world without being Catholic. You are supported by the Catholic Church. You are even put there with the influence of the Catholic Church. Yeah? So this is what is going to happen. And Africa is going to suffer this colonization for centuries. First of all, the African continent is not a continent, it's not a Christian continent. The African continent is not an Islamic continent. African people have their own spirituality. Go back to the history, go back to centuries before that, before all these religions that have been imported to Africa. We have our own spirituality that is based on the nature. Same thing people even practicing here in Europe also. Same thing people practice in the Americas and any other place in the world. Yeah? So Christianity will come later. The Orthodox Christianity will come later. The Coptic will come later. Islam will come later, 7th century. Yeah? So before all this, we Africans all have our own spirituality. And this is the spirituality that is going to be demonized by the Catholic Church. But it's not going to stop to Africa. Because if you take the Americas, Native American people also are not Catholic. They're not Christian. They're not Muslim. They have their own spirituality that is similar to what we practice in Africa.
What was even more mind-boggling was learning that there had been a powerful African presence in Portugal prior to the Portuguese called the Moors.
But when they talk about the history of Moorish, it sounds like they're talking about barbarian people, like Moorish people only did bad things here. And then because they were dominated by Moorish people, they have been brave enough to actually reconquer their land. That's why the history of the Reconquista is really told a lot in Portugal. So the history of Reconquista is the history of victory of Portuguese. Yeah? So they overcame, they defeated Moorish people. So it's like Moorish were bad and they were so good, and then they're going to fight back and then take the land back. But let's go back to the legacy. Yeah? Moorish people, as you know, they have been ruling the south of Europe for years, for centuries. Yeah? They've been in Portugal and Spain from 711. That's like the 8th century. Yeah? Moorish people were the one who brought a lot of knowledge to Portugal. First of all, who are the Moorish? Yeah? When we talk about Moorish, we're not talking about one people. We're talking about a bunch of communities. Yeah? Who are from North Africa and also sub-Saharan countries. Okay, today you can take like Mauritania, in Senegal, Niger, Mali. We have a lot of people there who are considered Moors. And Moors are also a combination of those African and Arab who came to Africa in the 7th century, converted a big part of the African continent into Islam. So all these communities that have been converted into Islam is what we usually call the Moors. Yeah? So these are Moorish people who are going to, through commerce, are going to start coming to the south of Europe and are going to rule the south. So there are different kings, yeah, and they're also going to install what is called the caliphate, like in Granada and so on in Spain. Yeah? So these are Moorish. But Moorish came here with a lot of knowledge. Moorish were exploring before Portuguese. Okay? So navigation knowledge or navigation science was already Moorish. Yeah? Algebra, math, astrology, all of these brought by Moorish people. Yeah? So Portuguese are going to use this knowledge and even build the caravan we have here. They're going to use the same knowledge and navigate. So it's a legacy of Moorish people and needs to be taught.
Now, in this last part that I'll show you of the tour, you could hear very loudly a bunch of kids singing the Portuguese national anthem. And Naky began to explain a little bit during his tour, but again, we could barely hear him because they were so loud. But in this clip, you'll see Naky beginning to discuss the biggest form of commerce, which was the Portuguese bank, and how they used them being that source of commerce to maintain control over other colonies.
So in the 19th century, the King of Portugal called Luis the First. Now we are in 1864. He decided to create the overseas bank. Yeah, the overseas bank. They're going to have the headquarters, the head office here in Portugal. So we are here at this building that is actually the second nice 5 countries that are Cape Verde, Guinea, Bissau, Mozambique, South Tome and Principe, and Angola. So in these former five Portuguese colonies, this bank existed. So by having it and then being the one responsible for issuing banknotes, that's the way actually they can control the economy. So how? If you can issue a banknote, that means also you have access to the reserve, the gold reserve. But when you issue the banknotes, who decide the value? You decide the value. And how do you decide the value? You decide the value aligning this behind the currency you have in the align behind the Portuguese one, but the value are never been the same. Yeah. So this is the same system that's still going on today, but you take French former colonies and then the currencies that are issued. So that's a system that's a 100 years of an economical system.
Hub family, I hope you all enjoyed that episode. Listen, some key takeaways from me as we do things like this. It's a lot of information. And let me just say this. There wasn't a ton you guys got to hear, in part because on certain pieces of the tour, things were so loud or there were some things disrupted that impacted me getting some more information to you on the tour. But I just wanted to give you some highlights of things that I learned. But one of my biggest takeaways is that the African presence all over this world is large. When you think about the Moors that were explained throughout that, when you think about just overall, not just slavery being the beginning of our history, because it's not the beginning. There was much more before that. But we do need to know what happened in different places and who was involved. So one, we can know who our allies are and who are those folks in this country or in this world that we can hopefully partner with in some ways to move forward. But family, also I really enjoyed just seeing somebody who was African, who is from the motherland, have this much knowledge of self. And family, I think knowledge of self in juxtaposition and also in side by side with our connection to God and all those things will be the thing that liberates us. Knowing self, knowing our history, knowing the remnants of the things that came through generation after generation and has impacted us even now. And so family, I know that's a lot to think about, but here's what I heavily encourage. If you think there are some things that you hear along this tour that you didn't hear, I would encourage you to please research Portugal and do your own homework. Family, I don't want this to be the end-all be-all of information for you. I don't want what I say or what this person says to be the end-all be-all. There's so much more for you to discover. And so family, why I'm doing this is because I need us all to open our eyes. My heart and my mind and my soul are being transformed because I'm taking this journey of learning more about myself and my history. And family, I just encourage you to join me in walking alongside to do the same, because I promise you that will help your spiritual journeys. That will awaken some things in you that you did not know were there before. And ultimately, I believe it will empower us to think outside of colonization and colonialism and in the places we live and how we've been trained and impacted by things. And so family, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. As always, Hub family, I'm so grateful for you. The next one I'm hoping is just as great and just as good and is filled with knowledge as this one. But I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Hub family, I'm out.